Welcome to your Lansing Connection. I'm Senator Nancy Cassis, and I represent almost all of western Oakland County, and I'm pleased to be your state senator and to come into your homes each month. Thank you for inviting me. Importantly, you know from watching our program that I try to bring to you meaningful people who are making things happen. And sometimes they come from our local communities, and sometimes they come all the way down from Lansing to share with us what their roles are, and very, very crucial roles that they play. Today I have with me a colleague and a man I consider to be my friend, in many ways an exceptional advisor. His name is Howard Ryan, and for many years he has been the tax policy or finance policy advisor to the state Senate. And that's a very crucial, important role. And I have worked with Howard for at least the last 8 years on tax policy. And because just recently we now have in place, signed into law, a new Michigan business tax, I thought it would be very appropriate, good timing, to have him be with us and share with you some of the process that he and I went through over the last, well, at least 4 years, and now finally seeing a new business tax replacement to the outdated single business tax. So I'm very pleased to welcome Howard Ryan to our program.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. It's truly a pleasure. Howard, as I mentioned, you are a senior Republican tax financial policy advisor, and you've been doing this here in the Senate for how many years?
Since '91, so about 16 years, just shy of 16 years.
16 years. You know, I'm sure our viewers must wonder, how does a nice person who's an economist get drawn into a political arena? Give us a little bit about your background, where you studied. You are a native Michiganian, aren't you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And how you came to the state Senate, and then a little bit about your family, if you would. So how did this evolve?
Sure. Well, I took my graduate studies in economics at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the emphasis there was mostly government service. Some people went into the private sector, but most of us ended up going into public service. And so the idea at the Heinz School at Carnegie Mellon was to train economists for applied roles. And so I took my master's there in public policy. Then I had a friend at Carnegie Mellon who got me into the Pennsylvania legislature, which has even more members than our legislature in Lansing. And I worked in Harrisburg for a couple of years in the legislature there and got my my feet wet, so to speak, and spent most of that time in the House of Representatives. Then my wife and I wanted to move back to Michigan, so we came back here and I went to graduate school some more at the University of Michigan, and I studied finance and accounting. And when I got out from that program, wanted to go into something familiar that was related to that sort of spanned both business and economics, where I would have my feet in both places. And the wonderful thing about working in the legislature is that, especially at the state level, is you can actually impact what's going on and actually have laws that impact people. And so that was a really big impetus for me in coming to the legislature, was the ability to affect public policy.
It's no question you are an extremely capable public servant, as I've come to know you over the time. But something you need to know about, Howard, is the legislation that you have been involved in since 1991, correct?
Yes.
I mean, think of what you've been involved in. Proposal A, that changed how we fund our schools and put a cap on property taxes going up and up and up. They've served this state very well since 1994. You were intimately involved in that. That had to be an exciting period.
It really was, and it was a wonderful way to be able to give the people of Michigan, especially property owners, money in their pockets rather than having it go, in many cases, to government services that were, well, the rates of increase at that time, we were looking at 7 and 10% year-over-year increases in property values. And for a lot of seniors and a lot of even working class people, it was just a system out of control. And so to be able to give those people some relief and still maintain a good education system, a good K-12 system that was actually more equitable or more fair at the end of the day than when we started, that was a wonderful thing. I'd like to say I was the chief architect of that, but Governor Engler and Doug Roberts were some of the more instrumental players, and I played a good role, but a subordinate role to them.
But needless to say, being intimately involved in all of that, it really has to be an immense kind of feeling that you are making a difference.
Absolutely.
And I think that probably is what charges all of us as we go through the process of finding and working through good legislation. I know now some of our homeowners are feeling a little bit stretched, maybe a lot stretched, and they do see their property taxes increasing this year, while at the same time their assessed value of the house is going down. And that is just a function of what is happening to Michigan's economy by and large. Again, it's certainly much better to see that your property taxes are capped at the rate of inflation, which right now hovers about what?
It's been running around 3%. Last year, I believe it was 3.6%, because as you know, gas prices have been going up, and then that's been fueling higher inflationary rates. But we have about 3% in inflation over the period since 1994. But last year we had 3.6% inflation, so that's
right.
been ticking up a bit.
And that's what right now our citizens are experiencing, plus the increase in over time of our summer property taxes. It's all collected now at one time. I didn't vote for that, but that's what's happening, folks, and I know you're feeling some anxiety and some pinching of the pennies, and we understand that. Moving on to what you and I have spent a good 4 years on, which was the knowledge that the single business tax in the state was going to go away. I had sponsored that legislation. It was to die, expire, take its last breath in 2010. But it was revved up to end the end of this year, December 31st, 2007. Along the way, we started planning for this, and we wanted to bring in, didn't we, as wide a range of interest groups to share with us what the next business tax would look like in this state, especially because our economy, we knew, was struggling. The almost 300,000 loss of jobs, mainly in the manufacturing sector because of the decline, in essence, of the automobile industry here in Michigan. We wanted to be sure that whatever we replaced it would be, we had some guiding principles. Must be more competitive to compete with other states, must be pro-growth to our economy, pro-job creation. And so back in 2004, you'll remember, you and I sat on a House, Senate Republican panel, and we brought all various interest groups from the educational community, business community, large and small businesses, economists, some were academicians. Did I leave anybody out, Howard, who we listened to over a 5-month period?
I think the thing that was